Here to break this all down for us and other breaking news, Saul Wisenberg, former deputy independent counsel, Fox News contributor, as well as David Schoen, former Trump impeachment lawyer. Saul, explain to us what is going on here. I think this came as a surprise to some people today that indeed the walls may be closing in, and not on Trump this time, but on Hunter.
Well, Laura, it shouldn't have been a surprise because he's under, there's a criminal information filed against Hunter on the gun charge. And so Speedy Trial Act comes into play. And after a certain amount of days, the government has to indict him. And so that's what the judge pointed out on August 31st. She said to the parties, hey, what's going on? And today the government said we're going to indict him by September 29th because we have to under the Speedy Trial Act.
And David, for Hunter's counsel to be saying, no, we're abiding by this other agreement that the judge seemed blindsided by when it was first presented to the court, how does that hold up?
Well, Abbe Lowell is one of the most experienced criminal defense lawyers in the country, and you can be sure that he recognized what you call the sweetheart deal for exactly what it was, and he'll fight tooth and nail to try to enforce it. There's a United States Supreme Court case from 1971, Santabello versus New York, that allows a defendant to move for specific performance, make the plea deal happen based on representations made by the prosecution. But it's going to be a tough way to go in this case, I think, because remember, it fell apart because there clearly was not a meeting of the minds between the defense team and the government in that case. That required one of his lawyers, Mr. Clark, to withdraw because he's going to be a witness. But they're going to certainly have a battle over whether to enforce that plea agreement or not. And I think Abbe Lowell is right to try to force that. But remember also, the judge never had to accept it. The judge could have rejected that plea, as she did, and wanted to do additional consideration of it. So I think that's going to be a tough battle. I'm skeptical of the whole process. I'm skeptical of anything that happens with Mr. Weiss now. I think that was a sham, appointing him as special counsel. I think Abbe Lowell, if push comes to shove, is going to challenge that appointment. It violates 600.3 of the special counsel regulations because Mr. Weiss is a part of the Justice Department. I think you'll see all kinds of battles if they don't allow him to enforce the agreement.
Well, Saul, what's your take on that? Because, my gut is that it's so ridiculous that even in this court, it wouldn't be accepted and they wouldn't be able to go with it. Am I seeing this incorrectly?
Well, first of all, I think David meant to say, he referred to the plea agreement. I think he meant the diversion agreement, because both sides agree the plea agreement is off. I think there might be, I might be a little in a different position than David on this. I think they've got a real shot at enforcing the diversion agreement, Abbe Lowell and the Hunter Biden defense team. And if they do, that's the end of the story for the gun charges. But not only that, if that broad immunity provision in the diversion agreement is valid, they're not going to be able to prosecute Hunter for any tax crimes because it clearly covers other tax offenses.
Well, David, think about that. We have this trail, albeit it's kind of difficult sometimes to follow, but through all these, shell corporations and all these accounts that ultimately end up getting funneled back to the Biden family. Now, was all that income declared? We had a lot of, fake email addresses used in this time period as well. Was the income declared? I don't think we know the answer to that, do we?
We do not. I don't even think we've scratched the surface on all that was going on in the machinations with the Biden family. I don't know that we ever will. The other reason I think, by the way, this gun charge is a sham, they well know about the Rahimi decision in the Fifth Circuit. That's a decision that, threw out a bar to gun possession based on the domestic violence problem. So here, it's not a big reach. In fact, one might say it's less onerous to say that we're not going to be able to uphold a conviction for saying no to being a drug user, an unlawful drug user on this application, that the right to carry a firearm or possess a firearm trumps that under Bruin and so on. So I think the whole thing is for show, personally.
Now, even CNN, though, Saul, hold on one second, is finally, it seems to be catching on maybe, and admitting Hunter's legal woes may go a little deeper. Watch.
There is the question about whether this investigation would broaden further or whether there are other potential crimes that are now back on the table. They brought up the potential, foreign agent dealing. So, look, Hunter Biden now has a host of problems that he didn't have or didn't think he had a couple of weeks ago.
Saul, they want this to go away. I mean, they don't want this flying around next year during the election because it taints Biden. I don't care what anyone says. The Biden family got rich during this time period. He's in public service for 50-plus years. Yet, obviously, if his son is doing well, he's very happy and looks like influence peddling to most people who have any common sense.
Here's another reason they don't want it to happen, Laura. Let's say that the courts hold that the diversion agreement is off and the government can prosecute, Weiss can prosecute Hunter for either being on drugs when he purchased the gun or lying about it. Because under the diversion agreement, they didn't charge him with lying and buying, but they could still charge him with that if they do it by October 12th. So let's say they do that. What's Hunter going to do? He's going to go into court and he's going to say, under the Bruin decision of the Supreme Court, this is unconstitutional. You can't charge me. But, Laura, that's the same decision that President Biden said was an affront to common sense and an affront to the Constitution.
Oh, that was yesterday.
And his own son is going to be arguing in different positions. So it isn't going to be pretty.
Yeah, so David, they rely on precedent that Biden previously slammed. I mean, that's just kind of par for the course here, and both sides do that. But in the end, I think does it pass the straight face test, the smell test for most Americans watching this? I mean, you guys are, incredibly experienced white-collar litigators. You understand how this process works. For most Americans watching this, it can be confusing. They kind of get what's going on. Will this be something that ultimately, as a political matter, regardless of what happens on the legal side, as a political matter, does damage Joe Biden?
I think there's that very real possibility. It depends on how long it drags on also. I think the American people have seen enough of this, if it's going to tarnish it, that it already has. I think, Hunter is a pitiful case, unfortunately, and I don't know that anybody has any interest in seeing this prosecution. The question is, how much of the underlying facts is going to be investigated and exposed? I don't think, again, that we've even scratched the surface, and that's the real political risk, I think.
I think the left has just decided it's perfectly fine for the Bidens to become multimillionaires while he's in office. I mean, they just have no problem with that. Meanwhile, Saul, something you and I have talked about before, but it's gaining traction, as you and I predicted it would. This group called Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, I love it, called CREW, filed this lawsuit to bar former President Trump from the primary ballot in Colorado, arguing that he's ineligible to run for the White House, citing the 14th Amendment. Saul, this is going to be replicated elsewhere. The Attorney General in Colorado has said she's waiting for further clarification. This is ultimately going to go to the Supreme Court. What of this now?
Well, I think these private groups and private citizens might have a standing problem, but I think one of these state attorney generals, or even under their theory, a county official, is going to make the decision to leave Trump off the ballot. It's going to go to the courts. I think it's going to go to the Supreme Court fairly rapidly, and I think they are going to rule that you cannot take former President Trump off the ballot without some kind of enabling statute and a judicial finding. As I pointed out before, there is a statute on the books, a criminal statute, prohibiting insurrection or rebellion and saying that if you're guilty, you can't run, you can no longer hold office. To me, that's the application of that 14th Amendment provision, Section 3. Congress passed that almost a century ago, maybe more than a century ago, and I think that's the way the court is going to come down. You can't just have an official deciding Trump should be off the ballot and a court deciding that without any kind of factual basis.
Yeah, that's the great defenders of democracy, David, quickly.
Right, frankly, Justice Chase said that in Griffin's case in 1869. He said there has to be, Congress has to act. It's not self-executing. These two law professors who wrote the article, University of Pennsylvania Law Review, have said otherwise, but they recognize Griffin's case is a problem for them. They just say it was wrongly decided. They've concluded. There are many, many reasons why I don't think this applies.
Yeah, it's all David. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.